Hi, I'm Vaishali Shah, founder and creative director of Creative ID and Ananya Cards. At Creative ID, we help businesses get noticed by the right people for the right reasons. We create brands that people believe in, online, in print, and on social. And at Ananya Cards, we design exclusive stationery for life's most important celebrations, blending personality, culture, and craftsmanship in every detail. Today I'm joined by Penelope D'Arcy Graham, a cake artist known for turning luxury wedding cakes into works of art. Welcome, Penelope. Please introduce yourself.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me. My name is Penelope D'Arcy Graham. I'm a luxury cake artist specialising in wedding cakes, and I'm based here in Dubai, but my cakes go all over the world.
Lovely. So I've got some questions. Let's get started. So Dubai is known for extravagance. How do you balance creativity and craftsmanship with clients' high expectations?
So I think my expectations are higher than the guests, and I think you'd be the same, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I think the guest comes to us already and they can see our work through our portfolio, and so there's already that level of confidence, which I love. And usually you probably get the same. They're like, just do what you like. But it's me. I want the best cake. They're like little babies to me. So I want to create the most show-stopping cake, and I always end up giving way more. So it's definitely, yeah, I'd say, what about yourself?
Yes, that's the same. I'm a perfectionist and I always want to deliver. As a wedding stationer, I'm not the person that will give you a white envelope. It'll be lined, there'll be calligraphy, there'll be a pattern inside. For me, it's all about the details, which I see with your exquisite cakes. So it's kind of bringing all of that in, but trying to kind of marry that client's expectations, and especially in this kind of Instagram world where they really want everything Instagrammable. And also, I'd also say what's possible, because sometimes the client will say, we want this, but actually it's not possible if you've got 500 invitations to have something done. And that's probably the same for you. You may have expectations that a client says they want something so wow and showstoppery, but how do you manage that?
It's the size, because I think this is where we're a little bit different. I always have to work massive, and sometimes it's just the proportions fitting in well into the environment that it's going into. So yeah, but definitely I think us two, for sure, our expectations are going to be higher than the guests.
Yes. Have you ever had to say no to a client? Like if they've said something that's just not possible, like I've had to, if certain techniques are just not possible?
I think I just try and gently steer them towards something. I think the biggest one for me is the real versus fake cake. And I just try to always explain what is probably going to be the best guest experience and the best experience. And I think that's the one that's, for some people, it's really important. It's a real cake. You can have a real cake, but I'll explain to you the pros and the cons of both of them. So that's probably one of the biggest expectations, that sometimes the guest will come and they're not really aware that it's even an option to have a fake cake. But it looks really nice if you get these plated slices that are beautifully garnished, and I just think it's a better guest experience. So rather than when you've been to a wedding and there's this hacked up bit of cake by the side, no one wants that. You're going to eat with your eyes first. So
exactly. And I think that's also, as a stationer, as a cake artist, our role is also to educate.
Yes, definitely.
That what is possible, what is not possible, and what makes sense, because we've got years of experience.
Definitely.
So it's actually using that experience, knowing the venue, knowing the setup, knowing the season, all of that to kind of guide our clients.
And I think because we are quite a close community, I think people don't realise how close in Dubai everybody is, and we all work really well together as a team. And the longer that we're all here and we work together, you understand what everybody's expectations of each other. We're working with the world's best, and you're here, and you can, because if you understand, we all understand, and we all sort of have this huge confidence in each other. We can all educate and all work together to create these amazing experiences and amazing weddings. And yeah, it's almost like the guest, luckily, can just sit back and just relax
and enjoy, which is actually, that's their role, to enjoy the celebration. Lovely. And in such a competitive luxury market, how do you keep your work original and stand out?
I think this is such a good question. Firstly, I think that we naturally, as artists and designers, have this style about ours that it doesn't matter how hard I try, it always comes out. Like there's you can usually tell the identity of your stationery, my cakes. But I don't just think it's about craftsmanship. I think it's also about the relationship that you have and that you form with the guest and the other vendors, and I think that's what makes it so special. Or for me rather, I really pride myself on the connection that I tend to be able to build with a client so that you can draw out the information from them to get the best final product. And I think that's what elevates everything. And I think that's what's quite special, and that's the luxury.
Yes, and I think that's what stands out, because it's, for me, stationery is a personal statement of the couple. It's what represents them. It's not just what they've seen on Pinterest, but I'll ask them lots of questions: where they met, what was the proposal like, tell me about the wedding, tell me about your culture, because I incorporate quite a few kind of traditional elements into the stationery. So it's, let me try and understand everything that's important to you, what you like, what you dislike, so that it is really bespoke to you. I want people to walk into a room and go, oh, that's so-and-so's wedding, because their stamp is across everything.
But your work does that every time. Like every time. And I think it's so important. I think the guest doesn't, like, they're going to get the best product. The more information they can give us, the more elevated we can, or more personalized we can make the final outcome.
Yes, thank you. And there is more competition. I know I've been running the business 20 years, and I see, particularly after COVID, more and more stationers that are following me on Instagram and that have set up business. I'm sure it's the same for you. Any views on that?
Okay, personally, I still find it really hard. I think, and I don't know whether you're the same, and sometimes I message my good friends who are also in the industry, and I'm like, oh, I'm struggling with this. I've got to keep my vision, almost stay in my own lane and keep my vision strong whilst keeping your eyes on. If I say competitors, I like to think that we all have something different to offer, and the guest has the right to have a choice. It is tough. I think we can be inspired by other people, but I think it's trying to remain that sort of inner strength that you know what you yourself have to offer as a stationer, cake artist, and what the positives that I can bring to an event. So, but that's not always easy.
Oh, it's not. Look, we're humans, and 20 years in, I have the same dilemma. I have the same quandary as well. But I try and think, okay, I called the business Ananya. That's Sanskrit for without equal, and that is what guides my business, my designs, to create designs that are distinctly individual. So if someone sends me a Pinterest board and says copy, I won't. If someone sends me someone else's design and say copy, I'll say no. If you're hiring me, I want to bring in my style. Of course, I will understand what it is that you like, but I want to bring my Ananya twist, my style to it. So it's easy for me to say this on the podcast, but that is trying to be my kind of guiding principle. And I'm sure it's the same for you, that people may not also appreciate the work that goes into it, the cost that goes into it, because I do get clients, but then they're not my ideal client, that will say, how much? But actually, there's all the work, there's all the printing. If you want embossing, you want gold foiling, all of that for you, all the work by hand.
Yeah. Well, I refuse to buy something in. And sometimes I'm asked, like, why do you not buy your sugar flowers? They don't look the same. It's not the same. Like, I do make every petal by hand. And I think the longer I've been in this, and like you, I'm 20 plus years, the worse I'm getting at that. I'm like, nope. This is going to give the best final effect. So even though it's quite small, I think it does make a huge difference. But it's it's really, really important. And I think that also is what helps you stand out against those competitors. So Yes. I think we can be selective as to what projects we take on. It's got to be a right fit. And I've turned down business. If I feel I'm not the right fit, then I will say, look, that's not my style, what you're asking for. It's lovely, but it's not what I do best. I think you should
go to someone else. And I think that is our confidence, maybe with the years of experience, but that's our confidence to be able to actually say, because for me, it's the customer. At the end of the day, it's not me, it's what's best for that, for the couple.
And I used to teach a lot cake art, and I always used to say to people I was teaching, the cake is not about me. This is their event. Like, this is not my wedding. This is their wedding. And if I'm the right fit in that, then that's perfect. But yeah, it can be hard. I think we get so much. I say often, and I don't know whether it's the same for stationery, I say social media was almost one of the best and the worst things to happen. So we both started before social media was a big thing.
Exactly.
And I remember there was maybe a little bit more individuality. Sometimes now everything looks a little bit repetitive. I'm so sorry to say.
It's true, that cookie cutter template, then there's no point going to you or me.
Yeah. For that. But I think though, luckily, I mean, we both have enough of a reputation that most of a good guest will understand that they're going to get something really special. And you can I think what's useful about those tools though is that they can guide you. So everything that we both do is completely bespoke. Like, I never create the same thing, you never create the same stationery, but at least I think when a guest can't talk the language of design, say that maybe that we can, it helps guide both of us to understand a bit better what they're looking for.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Storytelling, key in weddings. How do you capture a couple's personality in sugar and icing?
So I love this. One of my favorite things about my job is meeting the guest. And I don't know whether you feel the same, but I often feel, again, if they might not understand how to communicate what they're after, this is our language, so we can talk it quite easily. But I think they often give away these amazing clues that they're not even aware that they're giving. It could be the way that they're dressed, the way that they handle themselves, or it could be things that are completely unrelated to cake that they like. So I often ask them to think about any visuals that they're drawn to, like a ceramic or a shell, or it could be the dress. I've had some amazing cakes which have been inspired from the dress. And I love that. The more they can give me, again, the more personal it's gonna be, which is the same as you, the questions that you go through.
Yes, and I think they realize it's not that we're trying to be inquisitive, but it's actually we want to understand so that we can create that, tell their story.
Definitely.
Lovely. So we're approaching 2026. What are your top 5 trends?
Oh, some of them are great. Okay, so multiple cakes. The more cakes, the better.
So is it one tall and then across?
There's like everything happening. There's like whole swathes of tables, which, I mean, obviously I love cake, so this is brilliant. Big cakes are really going strong. I'm just going to put this out there. Sometimes I think too big. I think you still have to think about the proportions and it's still looking elegant. Texture, which is a massive one for me. My background is a textile designer, so talk to me about the texture. I think, okay, so our new Pantone colour is white.
Yes.
I personally love this. I think even with white, texture's going to give you so much variety, there's so much interest still in there. I think from my industry, a lot of techniques have really changed in the last few years, and you can really create some very interesting things using mediums that we wouldn't have thought of even 5 years ago, which I think is wonderful, and that's just growing, and the guest is loving it. I'm just trying to think, other trends. Drapes still going very, very strong. Unusual shapes. So I mean, you must see that loads.
Yes, statement shapes is a big trend for me. So that's for stationery. It's not just the rectangle, but I've done quite a few invitations or in the shape of a fan, or certainly for an order of service. Imagine you're having a beach wedding outside. Your order of service doubles up as a fan. That's beautiful. Also, swirls and waves. I've done quite a few distinctive shapes and menus and across the stationery. And again, going back to our Instagram, it really photographs well because it is a kind of showstopper. And I've seen it this year, but I see it for 2026. Those statement shapes, definitely. And texture as well for all the print techniques, whether it's embossing, debossing, gold foiling, screen printing. It really adds that oomph to the stationery.
It looks incredible. But you like... And your stuff Instagrams so beautifully, so beautifully.
Well, so do your cakes. And what I like about Cloud Dancer, Pantone's Colour of the Year, is that it's a good base.
Yeah.
Because then it lets everything else shine. So although I was surprised when the colour came out, because I'm used to colour and I design a lot in colour, it actually works well as the base, as the neutral, and then I can add in all those colours. You can add in all your kind of colours and textures to it.
I mean, predominantly what I do is already Cloud Dancer, without fail.
Lovely. Any other colours you're seeing, or you think?
I wouldn't say there's a trend on any other colours. On my side, I do think, like I said, like having worked in this for so long, even though trends come and go, predominantly for weddings and with the cake, a lot of the time it is white with florals. It's with white florals. I think people do keep very much still to that classic. It's quite unusual to veer too much off of that. So, but yeah.
Lovely. That makes sense to have it kind of classic. And as much as I read about the trends, come up with my own trends, for me, again, it goes back to the couple.
Yeah.
Because I want them to have something that represents them.
Yes.
And in 10 years' time, for them to still look back at their stationery and think, wow, this is still us, or we remember that, rather than just being on trend. So, yeah.
In actual fact, I don't know if you're the same. If I get a guest that wants something very much that's on trend, I always try and, again, just steer them. I'm never ever going to say no to somebody for something that they want, but things now you can date them so well to sort of the year, but there's ways that you can give a nod to that but make it much more about the couple than it be this latest Instagram trend or thing that you've seen on Pinterest. So
yes, definitely. And we're both from the UK. How do Dubai clients differ from whether it's British clients or international clients in what they want, their taste, expectations, their willingness to experiment? I'd love to hear your take on that.
I love it. They're so adventurous. They're like, let's just go for it. I think I get to do some really exciting things because of it's the nature of Dubai. So people kind of get swept up on this momentum. On the flip side, I would say the time scale is when we say last minute, I've got a wedding this Saturday. So what are we, Monday? We haven't even spoken about the cake yet, but I know I'll be doing it. In the UK, my friends are booking up for 2026 already, like their calendars are full. I don't know what I'm going to be making in the next few days, but I find that a bit addictive, but at the same time, it'd be good to maybe get some medium, but I do think that they're very, very adventurous. What about you?
So on the adventurous, do you think that's because budgets are higher? Or it's just because Dubai is Dubai and they've seen innovation and creativity and architecture and everything around them?
I think it's that. I think when I do weddings, because like I said, I do weddings still all over the world. I think, there's a few things. I think it's the setting. So the cake is one part of a whole event. And I think it's very different creating a cake for a ballroom, which most of my weddings here in Dubai are ballroom or beachside or like a courtyard, but it's generally quite a big environment. Whereas, let's take the UK, for example, we're talking maybe, it could be a church wedding, or it could be, the setting is a little bit different. So it's aesthetically it wouldn't look right. A Dubai cake would not necessarily look right in the UK, and a UK cake would not necessarily look right in a ballroom. But I do genuinely love the experimentation that people have. I think that they tend to see the whole picture of the whole wedding. The one thing though that I would love Dubai to change a little bit on the cake side is thinking more about framing the cake. So say in the UK, for example, at the moment, it's very much a thing that the whole way the cake is showcased is really thought about.
Not here?
Not always. Sometimes. Or if we just but I appreciate that I'm biased because I'm the cake person.
No, but I've seen when a cake is done well, and as you said, it's all thought out. It's on the dance floor. It has its presence.
Yeah.
It's a really important element. It's not just
Wheeled
wheeled
in.
in at the time. It's there. It's a real focal point, and you see that on the pictures and everything.
The cake often makes a huge proportion of the pictures. Sometimes, let's not make how it's presented a bit of an afterthought. It would be great if we could start to really think about showcasing it as a real setting.
Love that. And going back to your point about last minute, I'm not used to that yet. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. I cannot believe the time frames. I cannot believe it. Jaw-dropping. All I can say is there's 24 hours in a day, and they're often all used. Yes. but it's just, and I think also that's our role to educate as well, is that actually if you want all these beautiful print techniques or all these beautiful hand techniques from yourself, we need time. I can't, as much as I'd love to rush the printer, there are certain things. To get a foiling block made takes time. To get an embossing block takes time. So all of that, to do calligraphy, you can't just churn out 500 names in half a day. You also, it's done by hand. A lot of our work is done by hand. So I'm much better, but I still haven't come to terms with how quick things are.
I know, it's insane, beyond insane. I recently had 2 magnificent weddings that I was lucky to be part of, and this guest did have the foresight to think about this months before the wedding, and the results, I will say it does translate into the results. I have the time to really sit on the design, because I find that I need to go away, sit, revisit it, just to really get the best vision, plus also the actual hand skills. Making hundreds of roses takes a long time. So I do think you get, I'm not going to say a better experience, but having that extra time really does help.
Yes, no, I agree. And that's actually why I enjoy working with planners, wedding and event planners, because they are managing the timelines. They're used to it, which a couple, obviously it's their first time normally, so they're not used to it. So working with a planner, I find they also push, but they also can create that timeline to say that if it's not ready by this date, you can't have all of that. Do you find you work with planners?
Yes. Again, I think the better that we all know how one another works, but they quite often help to educate the guest too, to be like, if you want this, we are going to need to move forwards on this one soon. Because otherwise I think the misconception is that you can do these overnight, and social media has probably not helped. I'm as much to blame, that you just think that it just happens, but it really doesn't.
And that's why I always think about showing the behind the scenes, because as much as I love a curated grid and everything looks all pretty, especially in stationery or beautiful cakes, but actually when you understand the behind the scenes and what is done, it's not all glamorous.
It's definitely not.
I've seen your Instagram, but it's showing that process, because also I think people then appreciate the price tag that we're asking for example, or the timelines, because actually there's so many moving parts, there's so many components, and because our work is bespoke, it's coming up with ideas. There's no template, there's no Pinterest board. It's really what we think from our conversations that we've had with our couples. Definitely. And is there anything else you'd like to see change, or anything else you see in the next few years, kind of in the world of cakes or in the world of kind of high-end weddings?
This is a very good question. What about you with the stationery whilst I ponder this?
Well, for me, it is. I have to evolve with the times. So I'd say pre-COVID, I was a purist, and stationery was only in print. I've had to evolve, and I do digital stationery, animated stationery for invitations and save the dates. For on the day, it needs to be, printed. So I do have now quite a few couples that want that hybrid. There could be QR codes now. So I've had to also evolve from the kind of pure stationery is on paper. It's not now. It can be digital. It can be on fabric. It can be on different things. So I think that is a change. And for me, because everyone talks about AI,
I was just about to bring that one up. Yeah.
Everyone talks about AI. That's all the conversations about AI. But for me, it's about that personal touch and asking those questions and really creating that relationship with a planner, with the couple, to show how we are different, and it's not just AI generated, it is something we have created.
Do you know what I like about AI though, from my point? I find sometimes, again, sorry, back to Pinterest, there are some AI cakes that are on there, and as a cake artist, I know that they're AI. But what I find they do for me is they're basically doing stuff that's not actually physically achievable. There's limitations to what we can do in cake, but they do spur off my design thoughts in a way that I wouldn't necessarily have gone.
Interesting.
If I hadn't seen that. It is really difficult though if the guest comes with an AI generated cake, which is happening more and more and more, and you have to kind of be a bit like, wow, like the party pooper that's like, I'm sorry, this isn't going to be quite, we're not going to be able to do this quite the same way. But there have been some really, especially with texture, some really cool things I've seen with AI that I've tried to translate into a real cake, and they've kind of formed into something completely new, which I've loved.
That's lovely, because then you are embracing it, you're taking that, putting your Penelope twist to it and making it realistic. So when I interview you in a year's time, it could be a very different
At least
landscape.
we know that our jobs won't entirely go like
Exactly. Well, it was so lovely talking to you today, and hopefully, people have learnt things about the process in our work, and being original, being standing out. So thank you very much.
No, thank you so much.
Thank you.